Thank you very, very much, Rufo. This was a really, really interesting presentation. And you see lots of clapping hands coming from the community here. And with that, I would immediately actually open the floor for discussion. I myself have a number of questions, but I'm sure that others are burning and hands are coming up. And also Peter is raising his hand already. So this is going to promise a very lively discussion. I would like to start with Elizabeth and then Peter here in the room. Please, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Rufo, thanks very much for your interesting presentation. I would like to know for the first question whether if your respondent or farmers you work with have internet access. And because it's interesting that you chose WhatsApp as a means to kind of educate your farmers on how to have access to maybe advanced technology, or for a way for you to introduce the policy or the technology you want to introduce to them. So I would like to know whether first and foremost, majority of them have access to internet, or they would have to come to a point to get access to internet. And secondly, I would also like to ask, per their usage, I realized, okay, yeah, there is the willingness to learn. Do you believe that the strategy you are bringing in, farmers are able to receive information in time, or are able to access information in time and get information in time? Yeah, that's the second question. I think I had a lot, but I'll come back later.
Okay, you may come round for a second round of questions, Elizabeth,
Yes.
if others have
Thank
had the choice. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Rufo, do you want to respond to those two questions?
Yeah, very much. With your question on internet access, yes, actually, Kenya in general has one of the best internet connections compared to some most parts of the world. And the communities that we work with, yes, have access to internet, and they don't have to come to a particular point to access. Of course, in some areas, the network coverage might be weaker than the other, but they do have access to the internet. And you also asked about introducing or the question about the introduction of WhatsApp. So the goal for introducing WhatsApp is part of this progressive participatory design. And in this progressive participatory design from literature, introducing an instant utility artifact, so something that they can relate to, that is of can instantly use, but that is relatable, and then think or contribute and understand this other product that you're working on. So that was the goal. And because, as I mentioned, our participants are mostly illiterate, have formal illiteracy, and also do not have much experience of using technology, then we are trying to work on an app that really ensures inclusivity by sharing audio and visual information, or audio and visual functionalities. And WhatsApp was the closest already off-the-shelf tool that we could use to introduce. Then your second question was the willingness to learn. And you said you see that there's willingness to learn, and you asked if they're able to access information in time and share in time. So the way this map we're building is, there are two aspects to it. So one is the aspect of having a satellite map that has a layer of participatory map that was designed with the communities, or rather put together with the community, and also then the aspect of user-generated information. So pastoralists themselves sharing information with each other. So this technology, as I mentioned earlier, they're already sharing information with each other using scouts and using travelers. And we're just trying to see how we can complement this process using technology. And so I think, yes, they are able to access information on time, because this is information they want to share with, they would share with each other. But also, again, it's in time depending on what kind of information they want to access, and also the ones who are putting on there. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rufo. Maybe one thing to add to this complex of questions. You mentioned that some of your respondents were now saying that they were purchasing airtime, basically, putting money aside. So although the internet access is there, of course, they have to pay for it. So that's probably something that they have to shift some in their household expenses in that they now spend money on internet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. And
okay.
Peter,
Right,
sitting
Rufo,
already.
thank you so much. I really enjoyed the presentation. Although I was expecting to see the prototype over here and see its functionality, something of that sort of the app. Yeah, but that is fine. In the introduction, you said something which actually triggered my mind. You said most participatory research do not allow empirical evaluation, and therefore you wanted to. So I'm reflecting, what kind of evaluation did you use which differs from existing ones? That is one. The second thing is about sustainability of your approach. You indicated that one of the challenges is that people did not have prior experience, which means that they did not have access to phones. And did this research provide phones to them? And would they own the phone after the project, or you take back your phone? If you did not provide a phone to them, how would they get access to phone to continue to use your app? And the third one has to do with, just the last one, has to do with the information sharing, where you said the code design process in the outcome, code design process has led to people reporting about which information they will share and which information they will not share. That one I found it to be a little bit strange, because I think even in the absence of your code design, people will not share some information if the resources are not available. So what new thing did your approach bring that people would want to share information that ordinarily they will not share? All right, thank you.
Okay, so that was a full load of questions.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try to give short answers, and you can always get in touch with Peter after, because I have already a lineup. I have a question in the chat, and then I have Deo Gracias already in the line. Okay, over to you, Rufo.
Yes, so the gap with regards to the training, so maybe because in the beginning, so it was with regards to a lot of co-design projects or work or literature mentions about the importance of training, especially non-tech users in a co-design process or a collaborative process, so that they have at least some level of digital literacy so they can contribute to the process. So there's this mention a lot in the literature. And then there's also mention of, for example, in projects that they train people on how to use a smartphone or how to use a computer or how to use a certain technology that they're working with the users. But none of the studies actually show, and I think there's need to evaluate this training that they do. So none of the studies actually show the evaluation of this particular training in the co-design setting. So that's probably, maybe you didn't. I hope I've answered your first question.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then with regard to the phones, yes, we gave from the project, we did give the community committees and also the co-design team members smartphones, which they will continue to own. So we give it to them for the purposes of this project, but also they stay with this phone. Then I think your last question was on information sharing, what they would share and what they would not share on this table, and how this brings something. So the table was one for me to understand what kind of information they, of course, usually share through, especially the narrative interviews, which is not part of this presentation, but also to understand now that they have seen and used, how they have known, they've learned, and now they're using WhatsApp. Now that they know this technology and they're already using it, the question was, what kind of information would you share on such a platform? And what kind of information would you not share on such a platform? And we did have another session after introducing the prototype to sort of ask also, okay, now that you know what's up and you've seen this, what kind of information would you want to share and not? And this helped us identify what kind of information they would like to share on such a technology. And as I mentioned, yes, they're already having a sophisticated system or their internal way of sharing information, and the technology is not supposed to come to replace this, but just more to supplement or to complement this existing system. With the prototype, maybe in 2026, one of the colloquium series, I can present the other technical aspects of the co-design process, and you will see then the prototype. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rufo. That I think also already answers the question that we have in the chat. Sarah Nambaleva says, I'm inspired of the app. Can you share that, please? So I think probably, Sarah, you will have to wait a little bit until the app is
maybe
really
sometime mid
available.
next year. Yes.
Okay, we look forward to that, to the prototype. Cool. Thank you. Deogracias, please.
Thank you so much. It's such a nice presentation and sitting across a different room from you, Rufo.
Oh.
Yeah. My question is the information your farmers were receiving, is it sufficient enough to offset the cost that they would get, the cost of purchasing a phone in case after the project, and also the cost for internet purchase? Have you checked whether the information they receive can offset for those costs? That's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, so it's a question on investment. How much do they want to invest in returns?
Yeah, so how much do they want to invest? I think we will definitely, of course, understand this more as we go in the co-design process. But with regards to smartphones, right, I think now the proliferation of, I hope I'm pronouncing it well, of smartphones or technology in these rural areas is wide, and also the phones that we got for them are not really like big, massive, expensive phones or iPhones. They were really very simple. We were looking at the costs and also the type of the phone. The else wants to buy it. It's also not something that would really be very expensive to purchase. And again, these communities, the pastoralist communities, are very communal in their ways of doing things. And already from a lot of literature on technology used by pastoralists, you can see that one household could be using, or 2-3 households could be using one phone to communicate and share information. So I don't think it would be an expensive thing, but I think this was sort of thought of when we were trying to get smartphones to do this. Yeah.
And may I just remind you, Rufo, something there, because you were sharing those stories where actually the use of WhatsApp now saved them cost. Yeah, when they didn't have to travel, when they didn't have to spend this time. So that is why we, apart from what you just said, also the fact that already such technology that improves communication was also with the ordinary phones spreading very fast, although it also costed them money. And now they were not, why should they purchase smartphones when they can't use them? But now seeing that through WhatsApp, etc., you can actually really save time, costs, etc., that is the hypothesis behind why we think they set off costs. But of course, this needs also to be studied.
Mm-hmm. I could imagine, maybe to chip into this line of thought, I could imagine the moment that that you save one of your cattle or goats from predator attack, that's already several times a smartphone saved. So, so that might be really worth it. And yeah, exactly. I don't know whether you have an economic study somewhere aligned to all the others to sort of calculate these offsets, travel offsets, or better feeding, you know, better fed animals, give more milk and more meat, and that might sort of add to, you know, add to the income, some of these things. Interesting thoughts, Deogracias, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Cool. Are there any more questions or second rounds of questions?
Yes, if nobody's asking.
Tina has just opened her camera. I have to tie Peter to his chair here a little bit. Tina, please come along.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot, Rufo. I'm always thrilled when you present. I have one question actually now beyond your PhD, based on what you reported. Because you said when you presented the barriers also to the peer learning or more how to use a smartphone, I mean, they were really severe, like I'm too old, or I'm not smart enough, or whatever. So thinking now, you have a wonderful app that even illiterate people can use, but how can it be outscaled? Do you think it's so intuitive that people can use it without any training, or would you need still to introduce in the outrolling of the app more peer-to-peer learning or other forms of trainings to overcome the barriers you mentioned?
Thank you, Anna. Good to see you here. Yes, so some of the challenges that were mentioned in there were mostly in the beginning, right? So the fear of the unknown, and this fear of I am old or I have never used it. But then with the practical hands-on training and demonstrating and seeing someone in their own language show them was really very useful. It was very easy to overcome this challenges, which I think I should have mentioned in this particular instance. And if you look at the results also on the change in action, so this willingness to share learning, already the participants are reporting that when we sit in the NABO, for example, the pseudo parliament in the evenings in the Rendile community, for example, they say the person seated next to me, I would show him and I would tell him to take a picture of this. So even without our really direct intentional involvement in this, they're already using this peer learning and extending it to their families and neighbors and friends. And of course, working with them, which also is also the focus of my fieldwork, end of November to end of January next year, is to ensure that the navigation is really very intuitive, but also audio and visual guided. So, for example, using the local language in every page, maybe a help button or something, and also an introduction in the beginning. And all this is something that is in the pipeline, still working with the co-design team. And I think with already them showing each other, and you know, the social network is also still very strong there. I think I personally think that it would be easy for it to be used by more people like this. Yeah.
And maybe just use the opportunity, because some of the VIFs are also here. They could, because they are the ones also really doing a lot of the training. Maybe they one of them want to give an opinion, or at least they could say, hi, we are, we are the ones. I see Gabrielle Galmo, I think.
Yeah. If you want to add something at this point, but you can also come in at a later point if you like. We still have some time. I don't see anybody raising. Theodore, I've seen you, but let me just quickly ask. There is a question in the chat, which I would like to read before Theodore comes, and then Peter, because Peter had already 3 questions. Okay. So, here is a question by Dahabo Dambala. And the question is, does the app connect herders from different regions like Ngurunit and Sololo? And if so, how to navigate language and cultural fit? Have you tried that already, or are you still in your study area?
Yes, we're still in the study area, and we're still in this phase of, I think, the next few workshops, again, this is a topic of discussion, again, to see if this, if this, some of the information they would like to share with it. As you can see from the table, they have various ways and contextualized ways of sharing information. So maybe some information would help them connect with people in other regions, and maybe some will just be internal, but this is still something that we are working on. But in terms of the language, still, again, this is in the pipeline, but we are in the discussion to ensure that at least the 3 major languages in the 2 study area would be on the app with the audio aspects of it, so the Borana language, Rendile, and the Samburu language, and we will still be working with the co-design team and the VIF, the peer facilitators who are also on the call to work together with the community on this.
Theodore, please, and then Peter.
Okay.
Theodore.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rufo, for sharing your very insightful work with us this afternoon. Since Tina asked something about the future, I want to ask something about the past. Did you talk to the community about previous technologies that people have tried to bring into the community, or innovations, and whether they've been successful, or the factors that made them successful and factors that did not? And if you did these influence your decision for WhatsApp as the app, or in general influence how you structured the whole thing? Thank you. That's what I'm interested in.
Thank you. So the question about existing apps. So yes, there is one application that is a little bit similar to what we are trying to do. And in the beginning, we did evaluation of this app as a team internally, as a research team, and also with the communities in the north. And for example, with me, when I was in the field in my preliminary phase, this phase where we were trying to provoke the idea and have conversations to information needs, I really tried in that area to find people who use this app or were involved with in the process. And they kept mentioning, yeah, I heard of it. Yeah, I know, but really there wasn't, and it's also not being used. But this gives people who are involved, I think, who say one of them. So not like somebody was doing developing app.
Rufo, you're breaking up at the moment. I don't know whether that's a problem for everybody. Maybe if you, either it's something to do with your microphone or with the bandwidth of your line. Yeah, now we can hear you better.
I think it was actually the internet, Rufo. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So you need to repeat the 3 last sentences.
So not sure which ones those are, but yes, we did do co-evaluation, but in the area, as I mentioned, there's only one application, but also really not, I don't know if the right word is to say usable or useful with the pastoralists. So, but as a research team, we did evaluation of the digital applications generally in the landscape in East Africa, in Kenya, in the north of Kenya. And for example, the progressive participatory design as a process or as a facilitation process that we used, and using WhatsApp as an insert utility artifact was informed by this co-evaluation of the existing technology itself, and also more from literature that I reviewed, especially designing technology with non-tech users from the global south. I hope I have answered.
Thank you. So at least now we could hear you brilliantly. Thank you very much. Good. Next, are there any burning questions still?
No, I think she responded to mine somewhere in the.
Some of the others already took some of the questions. I'm just wondering, Brigitte, you want to come? Let me just finish my sentence, because I was just wondering whether, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I see that Antonia is here from the Minodu project. And I was just wondering whether you would like to chip in also some of your impressions after listening to Rufo's presentation, because you are also doing a lot in Minodu on co-design technologies and working with audio and visual tools. So I was just wondering, but I'm not sure whether you're actually still with us here. Sometimes you can't see. if they're just names. But in the meantime, Brigitte, please.
Yes. I wanted to just add to what Rufo said last, also because of the not so being so easy to understand. The app that already existed is called AfriScout, and it made a lot of publicity in the internet, and they say yes, they want to also help pastoralists to obtain information. So the idea was in a way very similar. But then the interesting to us also now to see is that they didn't do a co-design. They developed it on their own. And the way how it's now structured misses a lot of items that, I mean, we could learn from that app. We also were communicating with the people responsible for the app to see what they experienced as challenges and so on. But you could see the big difference it makes when you really do this effort that Rufo is doing now, and also this particular effort with the peer-assisted learning, so with this participatory progressive design, so that really the potential users can have a meaningful say in the development process. So for us, it's actually also interesting to see the difference, although both start with the same idea, but then the details matter. Yeah.
Well, yours is a very, very intensive approach also to I mean, if you really think about that, you have a very intensive hand-holding approach really over 2 years with the participants. It's worth it, but it is also costly. And I think that's something that needs to be acknowledged also, isn't it? Cool. I called on Antonia and Karina appeared as well. So, so I was just wondering, do you want to chip in and just give some of your impressions on listening to Rufo in terms of, you know, maybe comparing also with your own approach or some of that? It's no must. As I said, I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I was just wondering whether you would like to say something. If not, that's fine. Okay.
Thank you for the presentation, and I think Rufo, we already discussed that in Acrylic. We have a lot of similar approaches for sure, and we have found some different workarounds in the implementation, I would say, because we're both working with a mobile app, but also with a media access point that is a physical installation in the communities, and it's not screen-based. It's a bit looking like a radio, and we try to really build it in a way that it's still under process in a way that is super familiar and intuitive for the participants, because it's similar to radio, how you would just turn on a radio, you know? So it's very tactile and very intuitive, only with symbols, no screen, anything in a written form. So this is one workaround we have found to give access to the content that is mainly audio-based in another way, because we don't want to rely only on the mobile application, because not all of the people we're working with have a smartphone. But it's so different in every community, and like for us, this really seemed to be the right way, also because we talk about peer learning. And for us, the most important part in peer learning is also that people gather in one physical space. So this media access point is placed in strategic locations in the village we're working with, so that people can meet there and help each other. And that is kind of creating or forcing a bit that peer learning setting around the physical access point. This is a few thoughts I could elaborate, but I think this would be one thought from our side.
Thank you. And I'm sure that you can also exchange afterwards. And you also have a lot of peer learning, as you said, Rufo, as well. So I think that's a very important element, that you once start something, you start a ball rolling, basically, by giving this initial training, and then it rolls. And I had the impression also to, when you were talking and saying how people were using WhatsApp in this initial training that they were calling their brothers and colleagues somewhere else. So it seems that smartphones are not quite so unusual, and WhatsApp is not that unusual in the area. It may just been with some of the elder herdsmen perhaps, but I have the impression the younger ones have already taken up the technology, and it's the older ones now sort of linking up and being able now to call their children or whatever, you know, for help. Even that is the same situation that you have here, that older people have to revert to their nephews and nieces and children in order to understand some of the applications. So very, very similar situation. Cool. I'm just looking around whether there are any additional questions from within the room or outside, or whether any of the volunteers would like to say hello and collect some applause for your excellent help and work that you have been doing. We can see several there. Yeah, you can maybe mention them so that at least we can see who the... But maybe they don't have enough bandwidth for video. So
hello. Hi.
Hello, Gabriel.
Hi, yes, my name is Gabriel. VIF Solo area. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, welcome, welcome, and greetings to Northern Kenya.
Okay.
Cool. So I would really, really like to thank you, Rufo. It was an excellent presentation, very thought-provoking presentation also. And there were representatives from all of the projects here today to listen to you. And many have been asking very keen questions, trying to learn more. There have been several requests for getting hold of the smartphone app once it's available. So, Brigitte, I think we can't wait for your extension into September 27 to see something. Would really, the sooner the better. People would really like to try out the app and see how it can maybe also be adapted to other regions, other languages, other areas. Thank you very much, Rufo. All our good wishes for your field work that you're going on now. And I hope to see everybody else at our next colloquium in December, on the 16th of December. Sorry, I have to look at the calendar myself, 18th of December, when we have Melika Vodunhesi from the Declare team speak to us. Thanks very much and goodbye.
Thank you very much.